You might understand what I'm saying when I say that there are Christians and then there are Christians. On the one hand, you have people who mean well but are somewhat clueless. And on the other hand, you have people who mean well and are able to adequately carry out the ministry opportunities that they're seeking. Now you have these folks over here, though, who suddenly decide, I'm going to uproot my family from a small town in Georgia and take them to the middle of the jungles of the Congo, and we're going to be missionaries. That's not exactly the best plan. I'm Mark Jones, and the Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver is number 14 of 52. Yes, I am back. Last week I was on hiatus because I was really busy and did not finish the Poisonwood Bible on time. But it's finished now, and so we're starting with 14 of 52 on week 15, which means at some point in the near future I'm going to have to get ahead a little bit, which I've got a couple of short books in the next couple of books coming up, so it should be pretty easy to get back on track. So the Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver is a novel told from the perspective of a mother, Orleana Price, and her 4 daughters, Rachel, Leah, Ada, and Ruth May. Orleana's husband, Nathaniel, who's the father of her daughters, uproots them from their small town, Bethlehem, Georgia, and moves them all the way across the Atlantic Ocean to a village called Kilanga. It's in the Congo region of Africa. Now, because I want you guys to read this book, there are a lot of things I really just can't tell you because it might spoil the story entirely, and I'm not here to do that. I'm really here to just give a general overview. So what I want to do is just tell you a couple of things here, like I always do. So here are the facts. Nathaniel brings them to this town. He's not a very good father. In fact, he's emotionally, spiritually, and even physically abusive to his wife and daughters. He doesn't really view them as his family. He treats them more like members of his congregation, like they're lost sheep that the shepherd has to bring home. He doesn't get along with the villagers. They don't really respect him because he comes in trying to teach them a new way of life when he really doesn't understand how some things work. For example, they begin by trying to plant a garden, and he makes his small rows in his garden and plants seeds, and then the rains come and wash it all away. And so one of the village women has to show him how to make mounds of earth that will not be washed away every time he wants to plant something. He constantly wants to baptize all the children in the village, which they don't like too much because the mothers are afraid that when he dunks the children underwater, that they're going to get carried away by a crocodile. So the story covers their year in this village amidst political turmoil and war going on and famine, starvation, drought, diseases. In fact, 2 of the daughters get malaria. One deals with it for the rest of her life. As the book progresses, the daughters are telling their stories and how that in their hearts and in their lives, none of them really left Africa. Now, as I've said many times before, I really enjoy good stories. Stories that are deeply moving. This is a story that contains both joy and humor and great sadness and sorrow, dealing heavily with themes of family love and forgiveness for others, for forgiveness for the sins of the fathers. It also kind of goes into the idea of things having more than one nature. For example, something being bittersweet. A great example is the title itself, the Poisonwood Bible. The Kikongo language that the people speak where they go has a word, Bangala, which I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it has multiple meanings, 2 of which are deeply loved or beloved, and the other refers to the poisonwood tree, which is very much like poison ivy, but causes all these awful itchy boils all over the body. And it's really just a matter of slight difference in pronunciation of the same word that refers to these two different things. So, not understanding, Nathaniel Price, this red-headed fire and brimstone preacher from Georgia, is saying Jesus is Bangala. And his slight pronunciation error, instead of saying that Jesus is beloved, he is saying that Jesus is Poisonwood. And to the people of the village, the message that he taught was Poisonwood because it was divisive. It didn't really grasp the message of Christ himself. So yes, this is one of those books that, again, I will highly recommend. In fact, I've got 2 or 3 people that want to borrow it from me now that I've read it and recommended it. If you've read it, I'd really love to hear what you think about it. Lately, I've been getting more comments, and I'm really appreciative of it. So please keep putting more comments on videos. And if you get a chance, maybe do a video response. You can also tweet to me. If you're on Twitter, I'm at MarkJonesAudio. And the hashtag for this series is OfFiftyTwo. And it's been 3 weeks since I hung out with Will and made a video. So I'm glad to be back in this creepy little studio, which you guys may have seen pictures of before. Basically, it's a storage shed in a backyard. It's kind of creepy. But Will is the co-director and director of photography for this series, and you can follow him on Twitter at PenandPensive. That wraps up another episode of OfFiftyTwo. I'm Mark Jones, and if all goes according to plan, I will see you guys next week for Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. You are a bad man, and you are the friend of a bad man. There is no crime here except that me and Chad are not having a good time.